Those born in the last half of the 20th century arrived at a time when technology in all its forms, transistors, lasers, and integrated circuitry, autos and airplanes, radios, movies, TVs, personal computers, and smartphones began to drive us, fly us, and seduce us far from our homes toward a global village that has no center and few traditions. We were born into a time of physical and metaphysical disruption, of aimlessness and uncertainty, and all the king's horses and all the president's men could never put it back together again. Some who grew up in this time have since been wandering through the wreckage, trying to find a spiritual refuge or a mythology that fits the curve of our souls. The search has led many of us far from our Judeo-Christian roots and superpower citizenship to a faith in astrology or anarchist politics, in past lives or neo-pagan rituals, or to a devotion to nothing but the next thing. Some of what we found to believe in may seem superstitious or silly, but we desperately needed something to hold on to aside from our material possessions, which didn't really exist. We yearned for an authentic connection with each other, with nature and the cosmos, and many of us became devoted to that quest. We found ourselves involved in what Joseph Campbell called the challenge of our time, which is to forge a new story by which we might understand ourselves. Zen scholar Alan Watts defined the project somewhat differently. We do not need a new religion or a new Bible. We need a new experience, a new feeling of what it is to be I. For me, as for others of my generation, the teachings of the Buddha spoke directly to my personal confusion. Many of us lived with a perpetual identity crisis, and Buddhist meditation promised to get to the bottom of the issue of self, or even better, beyond it. Buddhism also offered the solace of vast perspectives and methods to cope with the torrents of change we were experiencing. As Nietzsche said, Buddhism is a religion for the end and fatigue of civilizations. Out of our confusion and searching, we boomers started a spiritual revival in the West known as the New Age, which drew heavily on the Asian wisdom traditions. Closely aligned was the environmental movement, with its quasi-spiritual neo-pagan overtones. Within these two loosely connected alternative cultures were a multitude of resources that may even contain the seeds of the new mythology, or a new consciousness, a different understanding of I. We were the odd folks out when we went to Bodh Gaya and Kathmandu in the 70s, or the newly formed Zen centers in California and New York, and we could never have imagined the next 50 years. The burgeoning mindfulness movement, the mass challenges to civil society, or people willfully ignoring climate realities we knew about a half-century ago. This book tells a piece of the story of the genesis of these movements and the generation that spawned them. It's a personal account, illustrated by scenes from my life, and therefore circumscribed by my own interests and affiliations. It was my good fortune to work as a journalist in San Francisco for more than 40 years, so I've had a great view of the action. I was lucky to have been born in a time and place that provided so much freedom and material comfort, but life didn't turn out to be all that easy. Of course, the Buddha would say, it's never easy unless we learn to see ourselves clearly. I hope this book will contribute to our clear seeing, so we can better understand ourselves and the world we share. The Big Bang, the Buddha, and the baby boom is dedicated to what I hope will be a legacy of the boomer generation, now aging, renewed planetary health, lasting peace, love, connection, and enduring good vibes. And most important, I hope this book will serve as a reminder, if not a rallying cry, that we boomers will keep fighting for the principles we lived in our youth, to our last breaths, for the sake of Gen Xers, Yers, Zoomers, Alphas, and the many generations to come.